Hello, you are listening to the Keto Answers podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Anthony Gustin, and joining me this week is Brandon Carter. Brandon has a hell of a story. This guy is an absolute beast. He is the most jacked person I've ever seen do a ketogenic diet, and if you do not believe me, go look at his stuff on Instagram, YouTube, wherever. Guy's an animal. A lot of stuff that we chatted about, I had no idea. That really surprised me, but his journey through his childhood and how that drives him now to help other people is super fascinating, especially how he maintains his physique using a ketogenic diet. So without further ado, I present to you my conversation with Brandon Carter. Before we get to the episode, I wanted to chat about our sponsor, Perfect Keto. Perfect Keto is all about making a ketogenic diet healthy and accessible. Whether you're reading all of our online guides or articles or enjoying Perfect Keto's exogenous ketones or any other keto-friendly products, everything you need to make keto work for you is at perfectketo.com. I know what you're thinking. Hey, aren't you the founder of Perfect Keto? Yep, that's right. And all of my insanely high standards have been put into making each and every product. My background as a functional medicine clinician helps me craft the cleanest and healthiest possible products and the best information about a ketogenic diet. Head on over to perfectketo.com to learn anything you need to know about the ketogenic diet. And if you've never tried any of our products before, feel free to use the code KETOPODCAST for 20% off your first order. With that being said, let's get into the show. Brandon Carter, thank you for being on the show, my man.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
So you are a hell of a guy. You are one of
the
most intense people in the keto community. But yeah, before we start digging in, I'd love to get a little bit more of your story and chat with folks about how you got to where you're at.
Oh yeah, man. So I grew up in Chicago on the South Side, and what you hear about it is true, right? The rumors are true, and it was very difficult environment to grow up in as a child, and there's a lot of just gangs and violence, and it was rough. And my parents decided to send me away to military school, and that came with its own set of challenges.
How old were you when you went there?
I think I was 13, 14, something like that.
And what was your demeanor like before that? I mean, were you kind of typical Southside Chicago, like pretty intense, like getting some bad shit, or what?
I actually, you know what? I wasn't very tough, right? I was the victim, if that makes sense. And when I went to military school, I just got picked on a lot, more in military school than back in Chicago, because I was one of the only poor kids there. I was, and one of the only black kids there. And that came with its own set of challenges, not that the kids were like racist, and just kids are just jerks. And I would get into a lot of fights, and that's actually how I started getting into fitness. I wanted to defend myself a little better. And
were you like small and athletic at this point?
Yeah, I was just small and really skinny and just like a little fella.
Hard to imagine, man. If anyone looks at a picture of you now, yeah.
So when I was like let's call it 16. That's when I said, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm gonna make something happen, and it was very difficult. But trial and error, and I had a mentor, a guy in Chicago named Aaron Muhammad, who he was voted like best trainer in Chicago. And one summer, he allowed me to work out with him the whole summer, and I kind of learned what to do. And I made some progress that summer, and I thought, man, as soon as I get back, any of these kids mess with me. I couldn't wait to fight. That's probably the wrong mindset, but that's how I felt. And then when I got there, I realized nobody messed with me, and because fitness, it does something to you. It you have to commit to eating right, sleeping right, and training, and making all these little promises to yourself every day. And once you make those promises and keep them, what happens is you build a certain confidence. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
So it's not like you went back with 40 pounds of muscle on you. It's more so the mindset and how you carried yourself.
Exactly. It was more of the demeanor. Predators look for prey. You never see a lion eat another lion, right? So it's kind of I wasn't displaying the characteristics of someone who looks like you should pick on them. And what happened was, like, some of these kids who were jerks, they started asking me for advice, and I kind of started training them. And what I noticed is they stopped kind of being jerks, because happy, successful, confident people don't try to belittle others, right? They don't try to bring others down. And they started not be jerks. In fact, we all started getting better grades. I saw it changed all our lives. And that's what led me to become a trainer. Like seeing that transformation myself, and then being able to help others with a limited skill set, being able to help others. I realized that that's something I was going to dedicate my life to.
And so is that when you went that direction as far as kind of like, this is what I want to do and spend my time on the rest of my life?
Yeah, well, not 100%. You know, I knew that it was something I was into. I was going to do it in college, but I went to college for business. I was a marketing major. But I knew, you know, I graduated college when I was like 17, and the first job I got was a trainer at a gym, part-time job. And I thought I was just going to do that, you know, until college, and then just get out of college, because that's what I was supposed to do. I thought I was going to be a musician, a professional musician. I was like, right out of college, I was signed to Sony Records as a rapper and producer. And then I got dropped from the label. And then that's kind of when I fell back on fitness.
Pause for a second here.
What's up, man?
You were signed to Sony?
Yeah, man.
Oh, my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. I was good. Because, you know, when I was in college, I went to school in DC, Howard University, and every major artist at the time, it's like we're talking about early 2000s. So every rapper who was popular around that time, when they came to DC, like, you know, me and some of my friends, we were like good enough to be like opening acts, and that kind of caught the attention of some people in New York at Sony Records, and that's kind of how that happened. You know.
And what happened there?
Oh, Sony merged with BMG right after college. So imagine, right? This, you know, I played since I was a kid. I played guitar, drums, keyboard. I'm not very good at any of them now, but when I was, you know, but I always thought I'd be a professional musician in some capacity. And so this was like my dream. I thought I had it, and then they merged with BMG, and then I got dropped. And also, so I was kind of down, but also I kind of got disenchanted with the music industry. For like, I don't know, man. Music industry is to music what pornography is to sex, right? I feel like it cheapens it. And that's cool. I understand. I mean, I went to school for business. I'm a businessman. You're a businessman. And so I understand the business of it. But I came into it from an artist standpoint. And it was just, it made me not want to be involved with the business part of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I actually almost went down that route myself.
Really?
I was super into music production. I played guitar a lot, and I was really leaning towards that. And at the same time, wanted to help people, and I was kind of already on this path as well. Kind of conflicted. Yeah, I had a crazy jaw surgery when I was after high school, and from that point, like I had to take time. Like I couldn't sing. I couldn't like it really kind of destroyed my confidence there, and I just like completely went in another direction. So.
It worked out for you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think likewise for you, man. I think that the amount of impact you're having on people now is crazy. I mean, look at some of your channels. What do you like? Millions and millions of people follow you. So it's one of these things now. Like, yeah, you could have had that maybe with being on Sony and like if you would have done that, but like the amount you're actually changing people's lives. I mean, I think of far greater magnitude.
I think you're right too. You know, I think. Tell me if this resonates with you. I wanted to do it because I wanted to do it as far as music is concerned.
Right, same.
But with fitness people always wanted me to help them, right? So it was something I always fell back on because people kept asking for it. And at some point I kind of had the realization, well, maybe this is a selfish endeavor, right? Trying to push my music on the world, and maybe I should give them what they want, right? And maybe I should be more like coming more from serving. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And so after that point is when you kind of dove headfirst into training and taking that on full time, or is that like the?
I'm leaving a lot out. You know, there's a lot in between though. There's some years I left out. I don't know how friendly this podcast is, but you know, I went down some dark paths from there. You know, there's a lot of struggle, man, a lot of difficulty. And I did some things that I regret during that time. You know, right when I left Sony, I was still kind of training people, and then I got, man, I'm hesitant to say all this. A lot of stuff.
If you're cool with it, come on out, man. This is
all right, yeah, man. So like,
podcast.
Okay, so again, I'm from Chicago, right, the South Side. So you know, you for better or for worse, you become like the people you're around. You've heard that before, right? And I was in New York. at this point. Didn't have didn't have my deal anymore, and I was like, all right, I like New York. I want to stay here, but I also want to make some money. The economy wasn't so great at that time. And so I thought, okay, how do I know how to make some money? Well, I know, I grew up around a bunch of like criminals and drug dealers and stuff. And so I said, oh, this would be quick and easy. And a part of me thought, this is before I committed to fitness, right? The part of me thought, okay, I'll do this, and then I'll make enough money to support myself and also maybe even come out with some independent music or something. So I started, man, I got like heavy into dealing drugs, like I was serious, like not like some guy on the corner. No, I was like, I had like an operation, and I was going back and forth from Miami.
You're
to New
a
York.
businessman to put the degree to work, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, and a lot of things happened. And I did that for a while successfully. So like the what rappers talk about, like I was really doing it. Like I was living that kind of lifestyle, and some things happened. Remember I said you become like the people you're around. So one of my buddies, his name is SV, man. I grew up with him in Chicago, and he was doing the kind of the same stuff, right? And SV got sentenced to life in prison. He got into an altercation. He murdered someone. He got sent to life prison. He was childhood one of my best friends. And then I had another friend, Esco, who's it's his real name, Esco. And he was actually murdered. They found him murdered in New Jersey. His car was shot up, and then I was like, wow, this is they were all involved with stuff I'm in. It's only a matter of time for this catches up to me, right? And then what really made the difference is my father ended up he committed suicide. My father committed suicide. He was involved in stuff he shouldn't have been involved in as well, and that's when things got like serious. I really realized I needed to make a change. I needed to change my life, change my circumstances, change the people around, and do something that I could be proud of. I wanted to. I had to support my family at this point. Like I'm the man of the house. So I decided, if I'm gonna do something, it needs to be legal. It needs to be something, respectable. And I only want to help people because I knew, like deep down inside, I wasn't helping anyone. I was, this old drug dealer thing where they say, man, if they don't get it from you, they'll get it from someone else, right? And that's not untrue, but you're not helping the situation, right? You're taking advantage of these people who have problems, right? And that never set well with me, but I was a young kid and I was selfish, but this was the wake up call, like these deaths around me. And so I decided I quit doing all that because I was a dumb kid. I didn't save any money. So I was broke. So I started working like 3 jobs. I was still training people. I had like some clients. I started working for a moving company. My buddy owned a moving company, and my other friend ran a restaurant. And I was running the restaurant part time. And man, I did that for a while, and I was like, man, I need to really take this fitness thing to the next level. This was the only passion I had left. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
So I decided I wanted to really do it, and but personal training wasn't going to be enough. Like just training people one-on-one, it just wasn't enough. There's only so many hours a day, and I read a book called The 4-Hour Work Week. And I thought, oh, maybe I can do it on the internet, like that. I mean, that sounds normal now, but that was a novel idea, at the time. And I didn't really know how, so I struggled, and I started, doing stuff online, courses and stuff, and trying to build a following online. And I did that and worked these other 3 jobs. It was like 2 years of that, like 14-hour days, 6-7 days a week, until I got to the point where I could actually quit one of the jobs, and I quit another one, and I stopped training people one-on-one, and I was only doing stuff online. Fast forward today, I have a supplement company. It's not as big as yours, but I'm catching up. And I have a supplement company, and I do a lot of courses online. Training is a 7-figure business. We got like 15 employees. Customers all around the world. I have an office in Manhattan penthouse office in Manhattan, like close to Central Park. And yeah, I mean, now I teach other fitness entrepreneurs how to start their own businesses as well too, how to bring their like online coaching to be exact. I teach them how to do it so they can like accomplish their goals and their dreams and help more people.
Yeah, a hell of a few years, man. I had no idea you went through that stuff, man. When you think of it. So, I mean, now that you're kind of soaring and you're doing things the right way, I mean, do you let that stuff continue to fuel you, or like what is pushing you now to reach new heights and do new things? Is it still some of that, or is it just trying to be better every day? Like, where do you attribute that mindset to, and where are you at right now with that?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. It's I just always been real ambitious, you know. I think just really ambitious, even, you know, to even want to be a lot of people want to be like professional entertainers, but like I was serious about it, you know, and you know, when I was, you know, selling drugs, I wasn't going to be a corner guy on the corner. Like I was serious about it. And then I'm just serious about this. I try to approach everything with an intensity, you know, but this is the most fulfilling, right? Because, man, you know, we have a wall, like 2 walls, just full of testimonials in our office from people whose lives changed, man. It gave me that same feeling I get when I was, you know, when I was back in school, and I trained those kids because I know how that changes someone's life. I know what kind of confidence it gives them. I know how that transfers to other areas of their life once they change their bodies and they walk different, they talk different, they end up doing better in school or work. And to be able to do that at scale is probably, I mean, it's probably the thing I'm most proud of in life, is being able to help so many people. Like on my Instagram, King Keto, on my Instagram, I have hundreds, literally, and I no exaggerate, hundreds of transformations that people have sent me from that, and they attribute our help to it. And I don't know, man, it's a great feeling for me, you know.
So obviously you King Keto, as you mentioned, totally into that game. And I mean, the fact that I thought
that would resonate with you.
Yeah, of course. You are, you're one of the, I mean, most jacked dudes I've ever seen on keto, possibly that I know of. And so when did you get into keto, and like, how did that transformation happen? Was that along the way? Like what point in the story did you flip that switch and learn all about keto?
Okay, so I left one part of my life story out. There was a point where I did some fitness modeling, but I only did it like on the side, kind of, you know, male models, you know, they don't make a lot of money. So it was like a part-time, like just whenever the agency called me. I was with a big agency in New York, but I was still hustling, right? It was a cool thing. I did some stuff for like Nike, Adidas, Brand Jordan, but it wasn't enough to live the lifestyle I wanted, right? So anyway, but I did that, and it was cool when I was young and beautiful, right? And and when I used to have to get ripped, I would go on low carbs, right? You know, for a shoot or a magazine or something like that. And
where did you learn that? Was that from somebody else? Or did you learn that just through experimentation? You know, what worked for you, or?
I think that was something that, you know, I at this point I had been a trainer for a lot of years, and I just noticed my clients or other people, and just like a lot of studying, you know, just, you know, every bodybuilder before they go on stage, they cut carbs, right, to get rid of to get ripped faster and get rid of water weight, and I just approached it the same way for every one of my shoots. But what I noticed, man, was I would feel better on low carbs, right? I would feel better, and it wasn't keto at the time; it was just low carbs, right? And my skin would get clearer, and I was like, man, this has got to be something to this. And I just kept that in the back of my mind. And then, but I never went full like keto or just stayed low carbs. I would always just go back to a traditional, almost bodybuilder style diet. But it was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I went to get a checkup, and just normal for my insurance, you know, nothing crazy. And they said that my cholesterol was sky high, and so high they wanted to put me on statins, right? And I was like, man, I'm only like, you know, I'm in my early 30s. I don't need to be on, you know, cholesterol drugs. And they gave me a prescription for it. I didn't feel it, but I had known some guys, you know, I had trained people with keto just throughout my career, it had came up, and sometimes I trained people on keto and low carbs, and I knew that it had some benefits, and I studied it. And I know Jimmy Moore, right? And so like I've had conversations with Jimmy and some of the other guys in the keto community, and I thought, and I just did even more research, and I thought, man, you know what? There's research that shows that keto can help with cholesterol. Maybe I should try this instead of the drugs, right? And I did. I just went full keto for really the first time, like real keto, like high fat instead of just low carbs. And what happened was amazing. Within my cholesterol levels dropped 100 points within the first month. I went back to my doctor a month. He's like, "Oh man, that's amazing. You didn't take." He couldn't believe that I didn't take the drugs. I'm like, "Nah, man, I just changed my diet." And
what did he say when you said it was from an all fat diet or high fat diet?
I did not tell him that. I knew better. I did not tell him, because it was funny, man. Like okay, so here's the thing. Imagine my dismay. I was like, well, what I do is high cholesterol, and he said, well, you can take these pills and maybe you should try doing some diet and exercise. I'm like, he told me to do diet and exercise. I'm like, oh, okay. If that was, all right, sure thing, doc. And so I knew he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. I'm sorry, I don't know if I was supposed to curse.
Totally fine.
And so I just say, hey, yeah, diet and exercise, But what I noticed was, man, my skin was clear, and I just had so much more energy. And as an entrepreneur, man, like the energy, man, was the main thing that made the energy, the mental focus. These are the things.
It's why I do it, man. It's why I keep it a thing. I have no weight to lose, and obviously you don't. So I mean, it's one of the things people associate it with fat loss thing, and that's just not the case.
Any diet that you ripped, right? But this has so many other benefits.
Right.
One of my cameramen, man, he tested his ketones for the first time. He just tried keto, and he was 1.5, and he was like, man, no wonder I feel so different. He said he's less tired, and he's young, how old are you? 20? Yeah, he's 20, man, and he said he has more energy. If a 20-year-old has more energy, then guys like us in our 30s, we can definitely benefit as well. Right.
And so when you started feeling better yourself, did you start switching everybody you were working with straight to keto, or did you do a little experimenting first for yourself, or how was that transition?
Man, I don't push it on anyone. I kind of just put it out, this is what I do. And now it's just at the point where, like, if you want to work with me, this is just what I do. This is what I focus on. This is my niche. And, there's a lot of other guys who can work with you, some other way. It was a slow process, but now it's just like you come to me if you want keto and you want like muscular. You want to be like, you want to put on, be ripped. A lot of the keto community is not a lot of guys, like you said, who are like ripped or are muscular or athletic for whatever reason. And it makes people think you can't build muscle on it, or you can't have the look you want with keto. And I just disagree, and so anybody who wants that kind of look, a more muscular athletic look, and wants to do it with keto, then I'm their guy. And so, I don't push it on anybody, but that's the way.
Are you doing anything kind of unconventional in the sense of ketogenic diet and how it's typically done versus doing it your way? Have you learned anything as far as like protein ratios or timing of food, amount of food, etc., that has worked well for you or your clients?
So there's a few things that I've noticed, especially for putting on mass. And you have articles. I've read some of your articles about the dispelling the myth that you can't build muscle on keto, right? I've read some of your material. But what I do, one of the things is, if you're trying to build muscle, we put the calories higher than we normally would. And I don't know why this works. I have some theories, and I've talked to some other people who are smarter than me about it. Maybe you can enlighten me. I talked to Dom D'Agostino, some other guys, but I actually would like your take on this. I think you need more calories to build muscle on keto than you need to build muscle on carbs.
Interesting.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that maybe for people who keep the ratio of fat, protein, and carbs the way it is, probably need to, because I mean, when you look at it, when you're like literally when you break down muscle, you need amino acids to start building it up. It's the Legos and building blocks to it. And so, you have two options here. Like you said, balloon entirely and get more calories across the board, which they showed studies that show that even if you're at a certain point, like an isocaloric diet versus a diet of ketogenic diet that has more calories, the people in the ketogenic diet who eat more calories actually lose more fat over a long period of time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think there's a lot of signaling things that we're not aware of, but I think that probably the biggest driver is just keeping the ratio where it's locked, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to go into mass protocol or building protocol and just increasing protein relative to the other macronutrients. But if you keep them fixed and it's always 15%, 20%, then you have to increase the fat, and then that's just going to increase overall caloric load pretty substantially. There's probably a lot of different things going on, but that would be my initial hypothesis, having not thought through this at all yet.
I think it's like that too. Like, I keep the ratios the same. I keep the ratios the exact same. I've experimented with cyclical keto. I just don't like it as much. I don't like the way I feel on the high carb days.
Yeah, same for me. It's just like then I feel like trash. My brain doesn't work well, and I have low energy for 1 or 2 days. It's those 2 days. Even if I would have other gains, other areas, are just not worth it to me to do that once or twice a week.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that it's worse for us on those days because we're so fat adapted, or is that how everyone always feels and we just notice it more?
Yeah, we're probably going back to baseline. I mean, the way I think about it is, generally speaking, when you clean up health, especially when you go on something like keto, and you've just felt like shit for such a long period of time, it's like you were driving on the highway for 5 hours and you never turned on your wipers to clear off your windshield. Windshield's dirty. There's all hell. There's bugs all over it, and you just can't see. You're just like you've just gotten used to that. And so what happens is sometimes you get clean in some of this stuff, then you wipe that windshield clean, and you go, oh man, this is what it's supposed to be like. And then one bug hits it, and then you're like, oh man, clean that thing off. Whereas if your windshield is dirty and the bug hits it, you're not going to notice it. You're not going to have as much of a reference point. And so that's why, a lot of people that I've worked with over the past, once they've, 3, 4, 6, 10 months or whatever it takes for them to get totally clean and feeling way better. It's such a long transition that then they go out and get wasted one night and eat a bunch of grilled cheese sandwiches or something. Yeah. And the next day wake up and like, holy shit, is this how I used to feel? And the answer is usually, yeah, this is how I used to feel all the time. You just didn't realize it because your frame of reference was so poor. And that's what happens. So you just have a different perspective and point of view and a new baseline.
That makes total sense. I wasn't sure if it was just worse or if that was the case. I suspected that was the case, but you're a doctor, man. So,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just a guy trying to figure it out. That makes total sense. So cyclical is not really my thing. Not to say that I won't have a day every once in a while, where if something's happening, I ate some carbs on Thanksgiving, things like that, whatever.
Right. And there's a difference too between, I think that a lot of people do it and they go, okay, eating keto, and then on Sundays I'm going to eat 500 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
And these people aren't even working out. They're not like, you do not need to eat 500 grams of carbs. Like this is the thing too. Like you don't need to pound down donuts and ice cream and candy just because it's a carb refeed day. Like
it's not a challenge.
Yeah.
Bro.
Eat a sweet potato or something. Yeah. Eat some plantains.
It's not a challenge. That's the thing. People, initially it was a challenge. I was like, man, I'm just going to eat every carb in sight. But now I don't even, my taste changed. So it's not even satisfying to me like that. I don't look at that stuff anymore and I think, man, I wish I can have that. I immediately go to how I know it's going to make me feel, and like I'm repulsed almost.
Right. Yeah. There's association with it over a longer period of time. And so, have you seen this with athletes that you've worked with as well? Is that pretty much no matter what, there's people who limit to X amount of carbs, or do you think that some people, like let's say, I've worked with a bunch of different professional athletes and I've seen people perform a little bit differently. Some people just do well on more carbs, and that's just the way it is. What have you noticed as far as people you've worked with in different sports specific?
Yeah, here's the thing. And first I'll talk about my experience is my first year and a half on keto, I tested blood tests every morning and every night. Right. I was obsessed with it. but I wanted to get data. And at the same time, I was tracking all my macros pretty meticulously. And I do that anyway. I keep a scale in my bag, that's the next level, right? Nobody has to do that, but that was me. I just wanted to get the data. And what I realized is, I think because I'm not sure if it's because of the amount of muscle I hold or if it's because of my training or a combination, but I can take my protein up to around 30%. And I can actually take my carbs to 10% if I want and stay in ketosis. And it's not like a recommendation, right? But that's what I can notice for myself. And I think it has a lot to, what I'm starting to believe is there's more individual variance, meaning we have the ratios that we say, are the ketogenic ratios, right, but there seems to be some individual variance with that if staying in ketosis is your goal.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly feel 100 times better if I eat more protein on ketogenic diet, and if I'm closer to that 30% mark.
Yeah, okay, good.
15 or 20. So that's me. Obviously, everyone's going to be a little different, but that's how I feel.
Yeah. So I just noticed that. I give people the traditional ratios initially, see how they feel, and then it can be adjusted, based on how they feel, right? And I don't get into the ketone testing that much anymore. I just how do you feel, man? How are you feeling right now? And because especially now, it's hard for me to register what would be considered keto, right? On a blood test. It's after years of being keto, and I asked Dr. Dom D'Agostino about that. He said that it's because I'm so adapted. I want your take on this stuff. He said because I'm so adapted that my body's actually using the ketones more effectively, and it's not floating around in my blood anymore.
Yeah, same with me. It's like when I test, and let's take ketones, I'm never above 0.6, 0.8. When I was first started cranking into it, 1.5, 2.0, no problem.
Yeah.
And so I think that trips a lot of people out, and they instead start chasing a number in place of something like chasing how they feel or what they actually care about as far as results or goals. And that's why I think people get all tripped up and not really doing it for the right reason.
That's why I kind of stopped testing. Yeah, because I was getting 0.3 though, man.
It totally helps for people. I mean, you have about 180 pounds more muscle than I do, so that's a difference. But I mean, I think that it's really helpful in the beginning to kind of get that sense of, okay, when I'm in ketosis, I feel like this. This is kind of an associative feeling. Same thing. I think when a lot of people train heart rate zones for working out, I've been doing that a lot lately, and now I have a sense of, okay, when I'm at 150 versus 160 versus 120 beats per minute, I know how that feels, and I can kind of ditch the heart rate training and looking at my Apple Watch for that. So it's the same thing with when you have ketosis and ketones in your blood. It's good for indication in the beginning, but like you said, over time, if people keep chasing that, one, it's just irrelevant, and then two, it can become discouraging over a long period of time. I mean, even after 4 to 6 weeks, it can start dipping down.
Yeah, and it's also so many variables with testing is what I realize is, if I'm walking or if I train after, if I test after training, then it seemed like I wouldn't be in ketosis, or if I ate something right before, even if it was perfect keto macros, it's a lot of variables. So I kind of stopped testing that now, but I tested enough to get, an average.
Right.
And I know what I can do and I just base it on how I feel. What has been interesting, I want to know your take on this, is a little bit of carbs before training seems to make a difference for some people. More of a targeted style.
Do you know Luis Villasenor?
Yeah.
Yeah, guy's a savage, obviously, like you. And he advocates for that. And he says, even up to 10, 15, 20 grams of carbs beforehand. Before training, it makes a huge difference for people. And I think for guys, especially if you're your size, and if I hit a really hard workout, I feel kind of the same way, where you only have so many, you can only produce ketones so fast. And once you get rid of all of those, your body's kind of okay, we have to somewhat wait for these things to be produced again. Instead of just being able to dip and then, your glycogen, your carbs are generally pretty low, so you don't have that backup source. And so flooding your bloodstream with a little bit of carbohydrates when you burn through both ketones and glucose can help you work out harder and longer. And so that's what I've seen that as well.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. I've been up to 60 grams before, and And that might be a little much.
Again, you're savage, so.
Yeah. So it depends on how hard you go, right? It really depends on how hard you go. So that's one thing I noticed for athletes is some guys are responding better, on that. And for bodybuilders, people who are going after a look, for a while, I can start looking flat. Like my muscles will just look smaller, and I can see it. And that's when I'll force myself to have like a carb day. But it was usually like a carb afternoon. Right. Like even on Thanksgiving, I didn't eat carbs until the end till before I went to sleep. And then the next workout, was amazing. Right. So if I'm going to eat carbs one day, it'll be later in it one day, like an afternoon, one day a week, or not even a week, just when I feel like I'm looking small or something,
Yeah, I mean, I actually feel and notice the same exact thing of just size and how I feel in general. Like I feel certainly a lot smaller in ketogenic diet when I ratchet down carbohydrates. But I mean, eat carbs for a couple of days, or even like you said, 1 or 2 meals. Then I mean, you can get that pump again pretty easily. Yeah.
I have something I want to ask you about, man. I know you're supposed to be interviewing me, but when I'm on here with an expert, man, it makes me want to get your expertise. So I have this program. It's really intense. Probably it's definitely my most difficult program and protocol. And I even tell people, listen, don't try it. This is like break glass. If you have to like lose a ton of weight in a short amount of time, and it's called the Terminator 2-week diet. That's what I call it. But it was a program, right? And the diet part of it is more of like a protein sparing modified fast. Are you familiar?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Man, when I did that, I was surprised. My ketones went sky high, but it was all protein, like almost 100% protein. And I only did it for 2 weeks, right? So it's not gonna kill me, right? But I kept my fat low and my carbs. I was trying to get them to 0, and it was almost all protein. And my ketones went high, and I do not have an explanation for that.
Yeah, so that's just, I think, just eliminating every source of carbohydrate. And I did the carnivore diet for a while. I don't know if you messed around with this stuff, but
I'm familiar.
Yeah. I ate only meat for like 5.5 weeks, and I was the same thing. Like my ketones didn't go crazy, probably because when you did a protein sparing modified fast, I mean, were your calories super low?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it was. I mean, your body was just mobilizing fat for fuel at that point. Difference between if I eat like a normal 2,000 to 3,000 calories of steak that has fat and protein, my body goes, okay, you have fuel in your bloodstream. No big deal, ready to rock. We don't need to make as many ketones. But then what happens is if you do that same thing, but ratchet the calories down significantly, 600, 700, 800 calories probably is what you're at, which is like traditional protein sparing modified fast. Was that where you're at?
Yeah, it was well, for me it was a little bit more. It was probably like 900 to 1,000.
Got it. It's still significantly low. And so at that point, I mean, the fuel source is just so low, your body has to mobilize more fat. And so that's probably why people that are doing it for you are getting such great results. And I've actually have had a lot of people do that I've worked with, not maybe 2 weeks or so, but 1 or 2 times, 3 times a week. And I think that people, instead of doing intermittent fasting where we restrict everything, has huge stress to the body. You're giving your body all this protein so it can actually maintain normal function and not be super stressed out, but you're taking away the fat and the fuel source, so then it has to use all the fuel. And so not only burning fat, but also starting to regulate blood sugar a little bit more. So people who are metabolically damaged, it takes a long time for them to get back to a normal place. That if they do start eating normal food, they don't respond to it with a bunch of basically metabolic damage every time they eat something. And so I think that's a really good tool for that as well. But yeah, 2 weeks, man.
Well, I didn't do it. So my protocol is based off your body fat percentage. So if you have if you're like low teens or even like high single digits, then you would have 2 refeed days, but they would be like keto days where you need add a little bit over maintenance. Gotcha. But instead of carbs, we would put them on keto. But if they had higher body fat, then if you really high body fat, then maybe your refeed days every 2 weeks. It's just once. You just have one. But most people have 1 refeed day a week, and I also had them. We all walked about 10 miles a day on that, and that was the only kind of cardio.
Just getting that low steady state.
Yeah, low steady state, because we wanted to get I developed this back when I was modeling, because it kind of came out of that, because I would get a call. All right, man, you got this photo shoot. It's in 2 weeks. I'm like, man, I'm not photo shoot ready. And so this was the best way for me to actually lean out as fast as possible while maintaining as much muscle.
Just eating small amounts of protein and walking.
Yeah, it was a lot of protein, actually, man. Like I would get like 200 grams of protein only.
And how are you getting that? Is it protein shakes, or was it like meat?
It was shakes, lean like chicken breast.
Yeah, so you're not getting any fat in there.
Yeah, very lean meats and protein shakes. Isopure was a good one for that. Just because it's almost all protein and to starve off hunger, exogenous ketones.
Got it. Interesting.
Yeah, and then maybe that made my ketone levels higher as well. But not that high, bro. Like I was getting like crazy numbers that I had never seen, like close to 4.
Got it. Yeah.
Last time I did it, I had a DEXA scan, man. I went in DEXA scan before and the DEXA scan after. And here's the part that really bugs me out. I've been meaning to ask someone of your expertise about it. I had increased lean body mass. It doesn't make any sense.
So when did you get the DEXA scan?
I got the DEXA scan the day before I started.
And then when afterwards?
The day after. So some of it might have been water, like because it was after it was over.
Got it. Yeah. So what I've noticed actually with fasting is kind of a similar thing, where if I'm fasting for a long period of time, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, and then eat normally for a couple of days after that, it's almost like a stress where your body, just like a workout. Would you be surprised if you worked out and then after that, gained muscle mass over a long period of time? Of course not. So you're breaking stuff down, recycling old tissues and building back up. And so there's a resiliency, I think, that your body goes through where, protein sparing modified fast is like, they're starting to come up with some research that even in that range of, for you, 900 calories is probably hitting it where it's like basically a modified fast. So you're starting to clear out a lot of old cells and break down a lot of stuff. And then after that, your body goes, oh shit, we should probably make sure that this guy doesn't do this again, or it can last longer if this happens again. And then so has a rebound effect where you go over that. So actually, I've done a bunch of longer fasts and tested my blood work and I've noticed the same thing, and DEXA scans and everything.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing because it wasn't just me either. One of my business partners do it too, and we both got the DEXA scans. We both had lower body fat and increased increased lean body mass. And what I've noticed is, and this is not abnormal, but I didn't lose as much fat as other people who are like almost like the more body fat you had, the more you had to lose. Yeah, right. And that's pretty, but we know that, right? Like the more you lose body fat faster, the more you have. But it was just astonishing. What was kind of interesting to me is, can you tell me more about how you have some people do protein modified fasts once or twice a week? Yeah, that's interesting protocol.
Yeah, so it's just kind of a way to mix things up, 'cause instead of having these people be kind of in a set every single day, just kind of throw in a day where they're getting under that in a kind of a stressful condition, but not removing all food sources. And so it's basically like taking away an entire. If you remove half or 2/3 of someone's eating 2 or 3 times a week, that's up to it's 1 to 2 days of essentially not eating when it aggregates over the course of the entire week. And so that over the long period of time, as much as that, like I think there's questionable science around, you eat X amount of calories and you have to burn that same amount. Like I don't think that's that straightforward, but calories do matter to some extent. And I think that can just kickstart a lot of different metabolic processes without having to be so intense. We're like, if I told someone, you probably have some hard people coming through your program because you probably attract that type of person. But if I tell someone who's never done any real type of dieting or hasn't really, like truthfully, not that much self-discipline, hey, you have to do this kind of ridiculous and aggressive type of eating for 10 straight days, 8 straight days, 9 straight days, 2 weeks, whatever. They can't handle that. But if you tell them 1 time a week, 2 times a week, they go, okay, they do it. It's not that bad. Then you go back into the normal diet, and then they can just maintain that, chopping that in, and then you can build from there. And so I think it's just kind of like meeting somebody where they're at as well. And probably the people that I have worked with in the past are a little bit different than the people that you've worked with in the past.
Oh yeah, I definitely marketed it like, this is the most aggressive thing. I called it Terminator 2 week, right? Because I only wanted people. I didn't want anyone to get involved with this I wanted the right kind of person involved in this, and I made it clear that it was not for most people, and you know what? I get that about keto though. Like people think just regular keto diet is too difficult for most people, and that astonishes me because this is the easiest and most enjoyable diet protocol I've ever tried, and I've tried so much. Have you noticed like a lot of resistance in that?
To people trying ketogenic diet for the first time?
Just keto in general, like this. I got when I first publicly went keto and started advocating it, I got so much pushback. I could not believe it. I had people making just the mere mention of it. I had people making 40-minute YouTube videos about how much I suck, and how this was going to kill, vegans and stuff. How this was going to kill everyone and give everyone cancer. And I was like, man, this is. I
have a question for you. Has that gone away, or is that? I mean, I don't think that hate ever goes away.
No,
people always trying to have an excuse to be weak, man.
Yeah.
You know
it was
that.
just more. What did you say?
I said people always try to have an excuse to be weak. And they have a problem that you offer a solution. It's not like you're saying everybody has to do it. You offer a potential solution for people, and then they freak out because it's not what they had in their mind. And it's such a crazy thing to me.
Right, and then a lot of from my community, a lot of the bros, right? They it's not what they're doing or what they're selling, right? So they came out vehemently against it, But I stuck to my guns, because it was just so beneficial for me, I mean, dieting on carbs is a nightmare. That's what's hard to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. If I try to eat lower calorie, having a carbohydrate diet, like even if I eat normal on a carbohydrate diet, I'm hungry every 15 minutes.
Yeah, for real. And like for my cameraman, I was saying he just started keto, right? And what I was telling him is like, bro, you got to eat more now. I mean, not more than he was, but he's not eating enough because he's not hungry. And like, bro, you got to eat some food, because then you get in this weird place where you're not hungry, but you still kind of need food.
Totally. I'm there right now, actually.
Yeah. That's like at the end, it feels like the end of a fast or something, That's how he's been feeling all the time. Like, oh, bro, you got to eat more.
Right. So what is next for Brandon Carter?
Man, what I've been excited is I finally started doing partnerships with Perfect Keto.
That's what's next is joining on a team and being a savage and bringing the love to Perfect Keto, or what?
Yeah, man. I mean, like that's one of the things I'm excited about. A lot. When I first met you and your guys, I was doing I had a little deal with another company, and they're not bad. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just man, I really feel like you guys have the best taste in BAG. And there's something about your products I just like the most. But I was in a deal, and now that I'm free from that, man, I'm just excited to be, working with you guys. I have a supplement company myself, right? But I was gonna do a BHB, but I don't think I can do it better than yours.
Appreciate it, man. And full disclosure, we paid Brandon a large sum of money to make that comment in this podcast.
No, I mean it, man. Like I'm looking at this chocolate. This chocolate one, man, is something special about it, and then chocolate with MCT powder. I want to give it. Oh, and the coffee, you guys. That's what I meant to tell you. The coffee. So I have
it's unfortunately out of stock for a little bit, but yeah, I mean that one is huge fan of that one. That's one of the ones that I consume daily, and especially because it's not as much as like if I get an espresso or something like that, I go crazy, and it's too much, and so. I mean, with MCT in there as well, I mean, I feel my energy is amazing after it. So yeah, man. But yeah, thanks for the kind words. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. And I want to give a tip to the users, to the listeners. That's cool.
Let's hear it.
I haven't heard anyone talk about this, and maybe I don't have my ears to the street as much, man. But man, if you have caffeine first thing in the morning, empty stomach, maybe even not, but caffeine, MCT, and ketones. It's like rocket fuel. It's the best thing you can take that's legal. right? For energy, seriously, man. And it's something about on an empty stomach is just it's another level. Have you noticed that? Have you ever?
Yeah. I mean, so my routine is what happens is I wake up, it's anywhere between 6 and 7 typically, and then walk downstairs and pour myself a scoop and a half of our pre-workout, and that has caffeine, ketones, and MCT in it. And then I go to the gym and hit the gym. And so that's my protocol. I'm doing the same exact thing every day.
Man, I love it. How much BHB does your pre-workout have?
So 2 scoops for me gives me like I think 10 or 11 grams, or like a scoop and a half. It's like 7, around 7 in the regular scoop. Okay, cool. Yeah, man. I mean, that'll do it. Yeah, that'll do it. Like that stack right there is something about it. Yeah, I mean, and I think for me as well, like I used to crush 2 scoops of the exogenous ketones at a time. I mean, running in nutritional ketosis right now, I just don't need as much. And so even a little bit from the pre-workout is more than enough for me and keeps me fueled. And then like today, recording people like you trying to stay on fire, I'll probably hit another scoop at some point throughout the day. But ultimately it's
that's cool.
Clean fuel.
I started a keto meal prep company. We deliver keto meals only in New York.
You don't ship to Austin yet?
Not yet, man. But like that's we're not delivery. We haven't worked that out yet logistically. Right. That presents an interesting set of challenges.
What's the company called?
It's Keto Prep Pro.
Awesome.
Keto Prep Pro, man. We got some delicious recipes, good keto macros. And it's something I'm real proud of, and we want to take that to the next level in 2019.
Awesome, man. Where else can people find you, Brandon?
You can Instagram's a good spot. I have Instagram King Keto. I also have another Instagram. It's just keto what was it called? Infographics.
Got it.
Where and that's a Keto Hacker Shop. And but you know what? King Keto on Instagram is probably the best place to find me right now. Anything you need, you'll find it there. I got stuff going on. Man.
All right, Brandon, appreciate it, man.
No problem, man. Thank you so much, man. I love it's been a pleasure.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Keto Answers podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, but even if you didn't, I would love a review. Just go over to iTunes, wherever you listen to your podcasts, and pop in a review so we can get found by more people, get better guests, and have the information that you need. So please go to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave us a review. And if you're new to keto, head on over to perfectketo.com/podcast and enter your email for all our top tips and guides on getting started with the ketogenic diet. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.